Hello there, I'm Karim Zachary and you're watching All 24 News World News program coming to you live from the capital Algiers, and here are today's top stories. President of the Republic Abdelmajid Tebboune says Algeria maintains balanced relations with major powers and highlights major mining investments. Also in our news, Algeria and Tunisia reaffirmed their commitment to a strategic and balanced partnership with praise for strong security cooperation. Next, in Sudan, organizations accuse the Rapid Support Forces of executing prisoners as authorities reject the involvement of those linked to crimes, and the WHO warns over attacks on health facilities. And later in Gaza, genocide continues as ceasefire violation kill 4 people. Hamas rejects disarmament and foreign rule while remaining open to solutions based on international guarantees. The details shortly. Hello again and welcome back to the details. It's great to have you with us tonight. First off in our news, Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune says Algeria maintains good, friendly relations with countries across the world. Speaking during his regular media meeting aired on Saturday evening, he stressed that Algeria's partnerships are based on mutual benefit, highlighting strong ties with European countries such as Italy, Spain, and Germany, as well as solid relations with major powers including the United States, Russia, and China.
Ne s'étale pas dans la rue. C'est des relations avec les États-Unis dont nous sommes contents. Ils sont contents de nos relations aussi, avec toutes les puissances, hein. Pas avec uniquement la... J'ai reçu des félicitations de Xi Jinping, j'ai reçu des appels de président Poutine, etc. C'est bizarre avec les grands, on s'entend. Il n'y a aucun problème posé dans ces trucs-là. كاش مشكل؟ احنا السيد بولوس انسان اولا انسان عنده درايه بالنسبه لشمال افريقيا والعالم العربي، ونظرا للاصول تاعو ونظرا للقرب تاعو من رئيس ترامب.
And on relations with France, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, limited his remarks to welcoming the recent visit of the head of the France-Algeria Friendship Group, Ségolène Royal, and he described their visit as courageous and straightforward.
Si tu permets, en toute démocratie, je ne réponds pas en ce qui concerne la France. Aucune déclaration. Et la seule déclaration que je fais, c'est tout le respect que j'ai pour Madame Royal, pour son courage, pour son honnêteté intellectuelle, pour sa franchise. ومرحبا بها.
On the same occasion, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, has criticized some European countries for imposing obstacles on Algerian exports to EU markets.
تكلموا على علاقات ودية وطيبة ومتبادلة، فائدة متبادلة مع الدول الأوروبية، وهذا الشيء راه ماشي مع الدول هذه فرادى، مع أصدقائنا الإيطاليين، مع أصدقائنا الإسبان، مع أصدقائنا الألمان، أصدقائنا الدول الأخرى، ولكن فيه مازال بعض الدول اللي تحرض ضد الجزائر، ظانين بلي الجزائر تركع بهذه الأساليب البخسة هذه. علاش الحديد نتاعنا اليوم يحارب في أوروبا، يعطونا ان كوتا تريمستريال. الكوتا تريمستريال لا فوندري تاع توسيالي تستهلكوا في ظرف 12 يوم ونبقوا نستنوا يعطونا كوتا، بينما من المفروض تبادل حر. احنا ما دارناش دي كوتا ليهم، باسكو 85% نتاع المشتريات نتاعنا تجي من الاوروب. اذا المره هذه طلبنا باش نعاودوا نتفاوضوا ما فيش إجماع، فيه إجماع ناقص واحد، ما يستوعبوش الدروس. احنا علاش ربي حبانا الحمد لله بذاكرة وذكاء اللي يخلينا المؤمن لا يلدغ من جحر مرتين. الحاجة اللي نديروها ما تكررش، الغلطة اللي نديروها ما تكررش.
The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, said the Garaj Bilat Tindouf Bashar Railway marks the start of a major national project leading to the completion of the integrated phosphate project in eastern Algeria. Speaking during his regular media meeting, he described the project as part of a historic national effort praised internationally and said its record completion timeline is a clear response to critiques questioning Algeria's intentions and national path.
باش نجاوبك على شعوري وإحنا ندشن خط قارج بيلات تندوف بشار، يعني صعب التعبير عنه، لأن هي معركة من المعارك اللي خاضوها عظماء هذه البلاد هذه، وإحنا أنا في طريقهم إن شاء الله موافقين. لما نشوف التحاليل العالمية في كل القارات على هذا الحدث ربما يزيد يعطينا نظرة على أهمية أكثر من الشيء اللي كنا عاطينه إحنا أهمية لهذا المشروع، أهمية بناء الوطن بإيمان وبرجال آمنوا بمستقبل البلاد وحالين يضحيوا من أجله.
In the same context, Algeria continues to strengthen its position in the global helium market. The country now ranks third worldwide in helium reserves, alongside a significant rise in production recorded in 2024. Let's get more details with Karim Mustafawi now.
As one of the world's leading producers, Algeria continues to strengthen its footprint in the global helium market, a strategic resource essential to many advanced industries. According to the latest international statistics, for 2024, the national production reached 11 million cubic meters per year, marking an increase of more than 33% compared to 2023. This strong performance confirms the position of this North African country as the world's third largest holder of helium reserves, with estimated resources exceeding 8.2 billion cubic meters, equivalent to 16% of total global reserves, a figure that places it third worldwide behind the United States and Qatar. Many reports confirm that Algeria's helium reserves surpass those of major industrial nations such as Russia, China, and Canada, underscoring the country's growing strategic importance in this vital resource. Other reports note that Algeria's helium production facilities have a capacity of around 50 million cubic meters annually, making it one of the world's largest nations in terms of production capacity. Overall, these indicators reflect the momentum of the helium sector in Algeria, supported by its abundant reserves and strong production potential. This strategic resource consolidates the country's presence in international markets and opens new opportunities for investment in high-value-added future industries.
In another development, Algerian Prime Minister Saifi Gharieb, alongside Tunisian Prime Minister Sarah Zafrani, presided over ceremonies marking the 68th anniversary of the Saqid Sidi Youssef events. Speaking at the occasion, Gharieb described the events as a historic turning point and a landmark moment in the shared history of both countries, highlighting the deep and lasting ties that unite Algeria and Tunisia.
إن لقاءنا اليوم الذي يتجدد بعد شهرين.
Our meeting today, which comes 2 months after the 23rd session of the Algerian-Tunisian Joint Cooperation Commission, is an opportunity to commemorate the sacrifices of our valiant martyrs and their immortal heroism in freeing themselves from colonial rule and regaining their independence. February 8, 1958 is a historical turning point and a landmark event in the history of our two countries. It is undoubtedly a significant historical milestone that highlights the extent of our shared unity and solidarity. It not only underscores our shared belonging and destiny, but also affirms the authenticity and depth of the close ties that bind our two nations.
ستظل مصدر إلهام للأجيال القادمة.
Algerian Prime Minister Saifi Gharieb reaffirmed Algeria's commitment to strengthening and building on its growing cooperation with Tunisia. Speaking at the 68th anniversary of Saqiet Sidi Youssef events, he stressed the importance of leveraging outcomes from the 23rd session of the High Joint Committee to consolidate and expand the strategic partnership between the two countries.
Our presence here today to commemorate the 68th anniversary of the glorious event of Saqiet Sidi Youssef is an important occasion to learn lessons and to renew our resolve to preserve the legacy of those who preceded us. This will be achieved by working in every way possible in order to strengthen the bilateral cooperation between our two brotherly countries and realize the desired strategic and integrated partnership. The outcomes of the 23rd session of the Algerian-Tunisian Joint High Commission for Cooperation held on December 12th are perhaps the best evidence of the distinguished level our bilateral relations have reached and the promising opportunities that must be seized to consolidate and expand this partnership. In this context, I would like to emphasize the great importance we attach to following up on the implementation of the recommendations and outcomes of this session, with the aim of maintaining the growing momentum and consolidating the cooperative partnership and desired integration that we have achieved together.
Gharieb also praised the strong alignment and shared positions of Algeria and Tunisia on regional and international issues of common interest.
I cannot but commend the degree of harmony and convergence in the positions and viewpoints of our two countries regarding various regional and international issues of common interest and the coordination of positions in various international forums. This is, in fact, a natural extension of the shared values that both countries believe in and consistently defend in order to strengthen multilateral action, ensure respect for the rules of international law, advance peace efforts, prioritize the peaceful settlement of disputes, and support development and cooperation within a balanced approach that respects national sovereignty and is based on equal opportunities and interests.
Tunisian Prime Minister Sarah Zafrani highlighted the strong alignment and ongoing coordination between Tunisia and Algeria on regional and international issues of shared interest. Speaking at the ceremony marking the anniversary of the Saqiet Sidi Youssef events alongside Algerian Prime Minister Saifi Gharieb, she said bilateral relations are today at one of their strongest points under the leadership of Presidents Abdelmajid Tebboune and Kais Saied.
Tunisian and Algerian relations are today experiencing one of their best phases under the wise leadership of President Kais Saied and his brother President Abdelmajid Tebboune. This is thanks to the convergence of their visions, their alignment in positions, and their constant coordination of regional and international issues of common interest. Tunisian-Algerian cooperation must rise the highest levels of strategic partnerships across various fields in a way that serves the shared interests of both countries and injects new momentum into cooperation frameworks, meeting the aspirations of two brotherly peoples for development and prosperity.
The commemoration of the Saqiet Sidi Youssef massacre reflects the shared commitment of Algerian and Tunisian leaders to strengthen ties of brotherhood and solidarity between their peoples. Let's get more with Sofiane Kenturi now.
On the Algerian-Tunisian border lies Saqiet Sidi Youssef, the site of the one most notorious episodes of the French colonial war. On February 8, 1958, French aircraft bombed the Tunisian village near the frontier with Algeria. The attack left 79 people dead, including around a dozen school children, and 148 others wounded among Tunisian and Algerian civilians. According to the historical account, the raid was presented by France as an operation aimed at striking Algerian National Liberation Army positions and punishing what is saw as Tunisian support for the Algerian resistance. More than 20 warplanes took part. At around 11 a.m., bombs fell first on a busy marketplace during peak activity. Waves of A-26 bombers then struck the village for nearly an hour before targeting sites believed to be linked to the FLN. The bombing quickly reverberated beyond the region. Tunisia broke off diplomatic relations with France and brought the matter before the United Nations, prompting international debate and condemnation. For many in Algeria and Tunisia, the events of Sayyid Sidi Youssef remain a powerful symbol of shared sacrifice, a moment that deepens solidarity between two neighboring peoples whose struggles for independence became closely intertwined.
And in other regional news, the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic has withdrawn its candidacy for the African Union Peace and Security Council for 2026-2028 in favor of Libya, responding to a formal request. In an official note to the AU's legal counsel, Western Sahara expressed full support for Libya's bid, citing its sense of responsibility as the senior state of North Africa and the Union, and its commitment to flexibility, African unity, and the continent's broader interests. On a similar note, the Spanish Trade Union Confederation called for a clear political stance in support of justice and freedom for the Sahrawi people. Speaking at the launch of the Holiday in Peace campaign for Sahrawi refugees, General Secretary Maria Perrocal urged the international community to take moral and political responsibility, stressing that 5 decades of Moroccan occupation cannot be ignored, while global powers continue to turn a blind eye to the realities on the ground. The International Askari Organization for Ethnic Minorities honored the Catalan Friendship Association with the Sahrawi people for its solidarity work supporting the Sahrawi struggle for freedom and independence. Receiving the award, Association President Javier Saraben stressed that the Sahrawi cause is a matter of justice and a legitimate and legal fight for freedom and self-determination, fully aligned with international law and the rights of peoples. In another development in Africa still, Sudan's Popular Resistance Organization accuses the Rapid Support Forces of killing 300 civilians in the Chala prison in North Darfur's El Fasher. Daily deaths inside the prison, they say, show deliberate neglect, leaving prisoners to die from severe injuries and lack of medical care. The group describes the humanitarian situation in El Fasher as catastrophic, with dozens dying each week from direct attacks, hunger, and disease since the Rapid Support Forces took control. Meanwhile, the Sudanese government says it will not accept outside oversight or allow those who committed or ignored crimes to take part in ending the war. Khartoum stresses that peace must come from dismantling the sources and tools of violence and holding perpetrators accountable, not from imposed foreign solutions. The statement also calls for strict enforcement of the UN arms embargo on Darfur.
These crimes are carried out with weapons and equipment that can be only obtained through an end-user certificates, violating the Security Council resolution calling for an arms embargo on Darfur puts the credibility of the Council at stake, turning a blind eye to the sources of these weapons, the entities financing them, and the countries that send them, and facilitate their delivery to the hands of criminals, places the international community and its relevant mechanism in position of doubt and undermines their credibility. The government of Sudan will not accept tutelage, nor will it accept that partners of those committing crimes or those who remain silent about them be partners in any initiative to end the war.
The Sudanese Foreign Ministry is calling on the international and regional community to act against those responsible for war crimes and crimes against humanity in Darfur and Kordofan.
The government of Sudan condemns in the strongest terms the international silence regarding the war crimes and crimes against humanity committed by the rebel Rapid Support Forces militia and its so-called founding administration in the regions of Darfur and Kordofan. The government of Sudan thanks the brotherly and friendly countries that support Sudan's security and unity, the safety of its people, and the integrity of its institutions, and calls on the international and regional community to fulfill its role in confronting the perpetrators of war crimes and crimes against humanity in Darfur, Kordofan, and other regions of Sudan.
For his part, U.S. President's advisor for Arab and African affairs, Massad Balouse, affirmed that Washington will continue its effort to secure a humanitarian ceasefire in Sudan. Speaking on Next on Sunday, Balouse stressed that the joint efforts aim to pave the way for an inclusive civilian-led government, building on the momentum of the Sudan Humanitarian Fund's call for action. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization warned of renewed attacks on Sudan's health system, particularly in South Kordofan, where rapid support forces targeted medical facilities. WHO Director General called on the international community to rebuild the health system, address severe malnutrition, and support peace initiatives to protect civilians and end the violence. To another development in the Middle East, 4 Palestinians, including a woman, were killed and others injured in the Gaza Strip on Sunday amid the ongoing ceasefire violations. 2 died in an artillery strike on Beit Lahia, one teenager in Deir al-Bala, and a woman in Rafah from earlier injuries as Zionist attacks continue across the entire Strip. Meanwhile, Khalid Mashal, head of Hamas's political bureau abroad, affirmed that the Palestinian movement will not give up its arms nor accept foreign rule in Gaza. He said proposals to disarm the resistance reflect a Zionist agenda being promoted in international forums, not genuine global demands.
المشكلة هي في إسرائيل.
The problem is that Israel wants to take away the Palestinian weapons, as I said, and put them in the hands of militias to create chaos. When we spoke with some European figures and official ones, with members of the movement, we said, it's strange that you have recognized the Palestinian state and adopted an excellent stance toward it. But at the same time, you demand the elimination of Hamas from politics and its disappearance from the scene. However, what brought the issue of the Palestinian state back to the forefront was the deluge and what the resistance in Gaza has done. The world must wake up. I call on the US administration, the Europeans, and the international powers to address the Palestinian question objectively, not through the Israeli perspective.
عبر رؤية موضوعية وليست عبر العين الإسرائيلية.
On the same occasion, the head of Hamas's political bureau abroad stated that the movement is open to realistic, balanced approaches based on guarantees, allowing Gaza's reconstruction while rejecting any foreign oversight nor attempts to reimpose control over the territory.
نحن معنيون.
We are committed to finding a balanced approach that allows for the reconstruction and recovery of Gaza and the delivery of all aid to Gaza so that Gaza can catch its breath and so that the honorable people of Gaza can enjoy their rights. At the same time, we adhere to our national principles and do not accept the logic of guardianship. Palestinians rule Palestinians. Gaza belongs to the people of Gaza. Palestine belongs to the people of Palestine. We do not accept foreign rule.
Meanwhile, despite the severe lack of resources, civil defense teams continue searching for the victims under tons of rubble across the Gaza Strip. More details with Sufyan Kanturi.
In the Sheikh Radwan neighborhood, tensions were palpable. As the bulldozer cleared the rubble, residents held their breath beneath this 4-story building, flattened by a Zionist bombardment in 2023. Around 60 decomposed bodies are still believed to lie. Civil defense teams are trying to recover the martyrs so they can be returned to their families.
This is about the resident of Sheikh Radwan. This building was bombed on December 11, 2023, while it was sheltering more than 120 people, including my brothers, their wives and children, as well as my wife and daughters, and many other members of my family.
The bombing of this house caused a large number of martyrs. More than 60 are still under the rubble. Our teams are working with these simple means to dig and clear the debris in order to recover the martyrs.
After more than 2 years of painful waiting, relatives hope they will finally be able to find their missing loved ones and bury them with dignity. But with the very limited resources available to the civil defense, the operation is expected to be long and complex. With every human bone brought out, wounds that never truly healed begin bleeding again. Open scars and grief only the families themselves can fully understand.
For 2 years and 2 months, we have been calling for equipment to be allowed in so that our relatives can be recovered from the rubble. I tried for a long time to find them with my bare hands, but it was impossible. I hope we will find them all so they can be buried with dignity.
Once exhumed from the debris, the remains of Palestinian martyrs are transferred to a Shifa hospital for identification before being handed over to their relatives. A true tragedy lived by the people of Gaza, away from the spotlight and near total silence.
In another development still in the Middle East, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian described last Friday's talks with the United States as a step forward. He stressed that Tehran would not tolerate any threats and treats its nuclear program an explicit right under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty.
The Iranian-American talks, which took place thanks to the follow-up efforts of friendly governments in the region, represent a step forward. Dialogue has always been our strategy to reach peaceful solutions. Our position on the nuclear issue is based on the explicit rights enriched in the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Our people have always responded to respect with respect, but they do not tolerate the language of force.
Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi reaffirmed Tehran's right to uranium enrichment, saying it is a sovereign right that cannot be waived, even if it leads to war. He stressed that enriched uranium is essential to meet the country's future needs.
Our talks were only about the nuclear program, and the Americans did not raise any issue beyond that. There is a very deep mistrust after what happened during previous talks, when the US bombed the Iranian nuclear sites. Their military presence in the region doesn't scare us. We are not looking for war, but we are ready to fight if we are challenged. There is no other option but to negotiate. That is what I told the American team 2 days ago.
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi also said that the Iranian missile program was not part of the recent talks with Washington, which focused solely on the nuclear file. He also questions the seriousness of the US in the negotiations.
Why do you insist on enrichment to this extent? And why are we unwilling to give it up, even if war is imposed on us? Because no one has the right to tell us what we should or shouldn't have. This is based on the principle of rejecting domination. Enrichment is important, and we consider it part of our sovereign rights that cannot be relinquished. But beyond that, the most important thing is for Iran to demonstrate that it takes orders from no one and accepts domination from no one.
For his part, Iran's Chief of Staff Major General Abdurrahim Mousavi warned that any regional war would derail development in the region for years.
Any regional war, even if it targets the aggressors, will inevitably disrupt the path of progress and development in the region for many years. Despite our full readiness, we do not seek to start a regional war. The repercussions of such a conflict will not be limited to its direct parties. Advocates of war in the United States and Israel will bear responsibility for the consequences of igniting any regional confrontation.
And to another development, this time in Europe, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia's energy infrastructure is a legitimate military target, arguing that oil and gas revenues finance weapons used against Ukrainians. He stressed that Kiev has no alternative but to strike these facilities in its war with Moscow.
We should not have to choose between striking a military or an energy target, because Russia sells oil and gas and uses the revenues for armament. So is our strike about energy or a military objective? In reality, it is the same. Either we produce weapons and target their weapons, or we hit the source of the income that funds and multiplies them. And that source is the energy sector, so it is a legitimate target for us.
In Europe still, exceptional rainfall has hit the Iberian Peninsula in recent days. In Spain and Portugal, floods have submerged roads, homes and businesses, forcing thousands of people to evacuate urgently. More in this report. For several days, the Iberian Peninsula has been hit hard by exceptional weather. Torrential rains have been affecting Spain and Portugal, causing significant flooding. In several regions, rivers have burst their banks, roads are cut off, neighborhoods are submerged, and evacuations have been ordered urgently, particularly in southern Spain. In Binogen, Andalusia, residents were faced to leave their homes without any warning.
Ayer nos desalojaron de buenas a primeras.
Yesterday we were evacuated overnight and of course we are scared about what's going to happen. Yes, we are leaving, but we have no idea what our homes or the town will be like when we return. My bags are packed. There is nothing else I can do. Of course, the news can be unsettling, but that's how it is. We have to adapt to this situation and try to handle it as best as we can. We don't really have a choice.
The evacuation is being carried out urgently. Residents pack a few belongings and take to the road, resigned to a situation they can no longer control. For families, the anxiety is even greater when children are involved.
Right
Right now we are a little anxious and nervous, especially because of the kids and the situation in general. We'd been expecting this since the morning. I had everything ready in the car, like I said, especially for the miners. Now we are just looking for somewhere to go. Luckily in Ronda, people have been amazing and very helpful, so we are on our way.
In Alcácer, Portugal, solidarity is evident, but faced with the scale of the flooding, residents remain worried and must wait, unable to know what the future holds.
We still have no information. People have been incredibly supportive and kind, but now we just have to wait and see what happens. There are a lot of us in the same situation. It's not a matter of helping 100 people. It's 1,000 people who need help. It is very complicated. We will see. On both sides of the border, emergency services remain mobilized.
On both sides of the border, in Spain as in Portugal, emergency services remain mobilized. Authorities are maintaining a high alert level due to the risk of further flooding. In the Iberian Peninsula, a return to normalcy is expected to take a long time. And in a lighter note, Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune received a FIFA delegation led by former German international footballer Jürgen Klinsmann. The delegation presented a replica of the 2026 World Cup trophy as Algeria prepares to take part in the tournament. The President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, unveiled the replica at the Presidential Palace and met with members of the delegation. Meanwhile, the original World Cup trophy has arrived in Algiers for a 2-day visit and will be displayed today, giving Algerian fans a rare chance to see it up close ahead of the 2026 World Cup in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. And during a ceremony at the Awrasi Hotel here in Algiers, former German international footballer and FIFA delegation member Jürgen Klinsmann gave an exclusive statement to our channel. Klinsmann spoke about FIFA's visit with the 2026 World Cup trophy ahead of Algeria's participation in the tournament, highlighting the excitement around the event and the growing support for football in the country.
I was wonderfully received by everybody in Algeria. I mean, everywhere I went, the people are so nice and so excited about the World Cup coming up in America, Mexico and Canada. So there's a lot of excitement here, and I think the team is good. They have a real good team, Algeria, and what they need is they need the support of the country, of everybody. They need the support, all this, the coach, is a very experienced, good coach, and and then just go from round to round.
And that brings us to the end of our news for tonight. To catch up on any part you missed or get the latest updates, you can always visit our social media platforms. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, do take care.